what I can appreciate about Passport Bros is I think it's an effective flag being raised for Western women as well. I'm not necessarily saying that they're going to find someone. I'm not saying that they're not going to get screwed over. I'm not even necessarily saying that I would encourage men to go do it. Like you said, if you want to, cool, go do it. I do think, though, that the motivation for it is the fact that men are still expected to act very traditionally. They're expected to be very chivalrous. They're expected to be protectors. They still need to take care of you. They still are expected to do things like open your door, give the jacket, things like that. But if that's what a man's duty to you is, to be chivalrous, it's very, very loosely defined what a woman's duty to a man is.
It's very ambiguous.
And that is why I think they go to places where they are actually taught from a young age how to treat a man. What is your duty to a man?
You know what's wild about this particular video, y'all? Let's get to what it truly is about, right? This particular gentleman's talking about Passport Brethren, why he thinks it's a good idea. And then he was talking about the back and forth between duties of a man versus duties of a woman loosely being defined. What he said at the end of the video is everything that I want to talk about in this video. Basically, these young ladies in these foreign countries were taught at a young age how to treat and take care of a man. Most of the women, what I would say in Asian countries, and I can speak more so about the Philippines, and I've seen it in Japan a lot, these women are taught how to take care of the man. At a young age, right? You will see the daughter in the kitchen cooking a meal for the family, making sure the father eats first, etc. Now, I'm not saying that, growing up this way and the idea of making sure the man eats before everybody else does, it doesn't necessarily have to go that far. Because when my wife cooks for me, we eat together, right? This isn't fucking, y'all gonna wait for me to eat and then y'all can have, whatever's left over. Like, none of that shit. Like, when we eat together. But the fact that they were raised this way, the fact that the majority of women are raised in these foreign countries on how to treat a man is crazy real. Because the more I've lived back in the United States, you could see, especially as it pertains to my community, there's not a lot of fathers in the household. Let's keep it real. There's not a lot of fathers in the household. So as a result, a lot of young ladies that are representative of my community, they ain't taught that shit. The majority of them are taught that men ain't ish and da-da-da-da-da. And you'll hear a lot of these talking points based off of who their father is and the relationship that they have with their fathers. There are some particular young ladies that still have great relationships with their father, and they see the way the father treats the mother, and that's how they develop their thought processes about relationships. It can go one of two ways. If a mother's in a toxic relationship with a dude and the mom are always constantly arguing, sometimes a young lady can believe that this is what relationships are supposed to be like, which I think is crazy. Or if it clicks early enough, I don't want to be around that because I don't like arguing or I don't like being yelled at, so I don't want a guy that's going to do that to me. So if somebody starts that type of relationship off when I'm with them, I'm just going to get rid of them or I'm going to get away from them, right? Some people, they fall into that trap, right? And I do believe that some dudes have not made it easy. Let's keep it real. I'm gonna call a spade a spade. Some dudes have not made it easy. Had a conversation with one of my students, right? And she doesn't necessarily have the greatest relationship with her father. Her background is Indian and Puerto Rican. I think her dad's Puerto Rican, her mom's Indian, right? So we're talking about probably people who grew up in the United States but come from different cultural backgrounds, right? So that's why I wanted to use this as an example. The father is a man that wishes to spread his seed all over the city, apparently. He's got 4 kids already. He's aiming for 10. The young lady said that once I reached a certain age, or once his kids reach a certain age, he really doesn't have a lot to do with them, right, at a certain age. And then right now, I think he recently had a newborn. She showed me a IG video because she was trying to show me what her dad looked like. And then the video was the new baby mama and a video with the baby. And she said once he reaches a certain age, chances are he's going to be wanting a new one. So it's almost like once they get out of the baby stage, he no longer wants to be like a father. And man, it could just be her talking, but there seemed to be a lot of weight. You know, once you see a guy out there that's consistently out here making babies with different women, it might hold some weight, right? That's all I'm trying to get at. So I'm not gonna sit here and act like every guy in the world, or believe all men and all that shit, that every guy has the greatest of intentions with the young ladies they choose to get with. It's just unfortunate that that seems to be something that happens a lot more in the Western world, in the United States and Europe and probably places like that, than it would in Asian countries. I'm not gonna sit there and say that Asian men don't have side pieces. I've seen it firsthand. They do their thing, but usually they still hold down a family structure, right? The majority of them. Again, if you come from the lower socioeconomic class, I will say that it's not uncommon for the father to be somewhat of a drunkard, all right? A guy who drinks a lot and probably stays out a lot and probably gets into some mischievous deeds. Let's keep it real. It just happens to be that way. And it doesn't necessarily, I should say, it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the socioeconomic class that you're in, because, you know, if you're gonna have a side piece, you're gonna have one, but it's just very rare. At that level, I would say the lower socioeconomic class, they're pretty much not the greatest of father figures. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, right? Especially if they drink a lot, etc. Now, you get to that middle upper. If they do have a side piece, and I don't know how this came up, but let's go ahead and work with it. Let's keep it going. I've noticed that they'll still hold down a family structure. They'll still be the father to the family. They'll still be a husband to the wife. They'll still take care of what they need to over here, but they'll have them a little honey on the side. So it's like they're still gonna do their job as a father, fulfill their father roles and all of that stuff, do what they have to do for the family, but still gonna be a side lady on the side, right? And you'll probably find that probably with the, you know, from the financial standpoint, if you're super rich, you'll take care of the family financially, even if you're not really in their lives, right? It just happens to be that way sometimes, if that's the unsavory route that you choose to go. But going back to where it originally started, I don't know how I got on this tangent, but you will understand and you will see that, you know, these women, young ladies, are taught at a young age in these foreign countries to prepare, provide, and be submissive to their men. They see the way their mothers react in a situation with their fathers, and that's kind of how they build their understanding of what a relationship is supposed to be. And I do believe that the absence of fathers dealing with a lot of the situationships in the United States plays a major role in exactly why you see a lot of women that talk about men not being anything, and they don't see a need or a reason to submit at all, or to want to be wives to these guys. I mean, sometimes relationships leave a bad taste in a young lady's mouth. I'm not gonna hold you, but it sucks because the ones that want to do right, the ones that feel that they can do right and do right by these women, guess what? These usually ain't the ones that these women want. They want, you know, the type of guys they want. I don't have to go into detail about it. So again, it becomes cyclical, right? It's like a cycle, or it becomes like this circle, right? Let's go ahead and break down a circle real quick before I end this video, so y'all know what the good doc is saying, right? Guy like myself, super nerd. I like, let's say for example, I like the baddest girl in the school or whatever, man. She's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. This girl has a thing for the bad boy. She gets with the bad boy. Bad boy does everything under the sun with her. They end it because, you know, he's just who he is and she can't change him. Now all of a sudden you want to circle back to me because I'm the good guy after you've already had your fun, or been with the bad boy and you realize the bad boy want to play. Now all of a sudden you want the nerd, the goofy dude, such as myself. But I done went to Asia and found me an Asian baddie, so you're fucked. But you get the point, right? It's only after they've been through these situations with these bad guys, some of these girls, that they want to come back to the guys that were probably filling them in the first place, right? It becomes a whole thing, and it happens that way more often than not, which is why it plays out this way so often. It's crazy. That's why I continue to talk about it, because I can imagine, and probably you can't imagine, that a young lady, let me stop. You can't imagine this. You can see it. How these young ladies get into these relationships with dudes that don't mean them no good, but they still want it because they feel like they could change them. This is the person with all the edge and stuff. They don't want the educated nerds or the educated lames. They don't want them until this educated lame becomes somebody, puts a little bit of monies in his pocket, and, you know, shows that he has worth and value in society or the culture or whatever. Now all of a sudden they want to circle back. But then guess what? Because the bad boy treated them like shit, all men ain't shit. You hear it all the time, man. And at this point, I'm kind of over it, and I think a lot of guys are too. But if this is what they see at a young age, and they see themselves with the edgy guy as they get older, and then only after it's said and done, like I said, they get with the nerd, this is just how they mentally believe that it's supposed to go. And that's a no-no. All right, but that's my time, effort, and energy, ladies and gentlemen. If you got anything else you want me to cover, anything that you've seen that you think would be ideal for the Good Doc to talk about, email me, MikeTheP@gmail.com. Feel free to share, like, comment, and subscribe. It's been a Good Doc. Y'all take care. Y'all stay blessed, man. Doc is out. Peace.